Do you ever get this overwhelming feeling of guilt every time you launch a game anymore? Every time you get home from work and you're like, finally, the day is mine. I get to choose to do what I want now. No expectations, no more phone calls, no more disappointed faces coming into the office door. And you sit down, you launch the game. Maybe you make it past the menu screen. If you do, maybe you get about 3 minutes in, and all of a sudden you get this feeling that you're, I guess, just not happy anymore. It doesn't feel like it used to, when you get home from school and that was the one thing you were thinking about all day, the one thing you were looking forward to was hopping on the game with your friends or even by yourself. And it sucks. I have the same issue every now and then, and some days I'll force myself to play and I really enjoy my time, but by the time I'm done, I just feel so defeated. I feel like I wasted so much time and effort, and maybe that's because as we got older, we kind of realized that we do need to be utilizing our time more than we used to. I think a lot of us realize that we age a lot faster than we originally thought. When everyone was like, oh, you're young, your joints won't be the same when you get older, and then you thought they meant by your 40s, but they meant by 23. So I think that's where a lot of our guilt stems from, is just knowing that we could be doing something better with our time, knowing that we could be doing something more productive. And I hate the idea of that, because video games have shown me a lot of who I am and who I want to be, and the interests I want to even partake in, hobbies I want to pursue. They've shown me so much more about myself than I ever would have figured out on my own. And I understand, and I don't think that they're a waste of time by any means at all. So why do I feel that way, Why do I sit there and blame myself for not being more productive, not actively seeking something that could make me more money, that could make me feel more stable, make me more confident in myself, make me more confident in relationships? Why do I try to actively guilt myself for something I know I enjoy? And, why do I push myself away from it every single time that I think I need to fix up my act or something along the lines? It sucks. I don't understand it. I think it's just kind of coded into us as young adults. And, people say your golden ages or your golden years are like in your 30s, so maybe it changes by then. But I don't want to have to feel guilt for being who I am, I don't want to feel ashamed for my hobbies, for what I like doing, for the person I want to be. And I know damn well that none of us are going to live forever. And for some reason, that's been on my mind a lot recently. And I think it's kind of, anytime I ever get sick, it pops up in my head like, what if I didn't get better? What if I died tomorrow? What if I got so sick that I couldn't recover? What would I leave behind? And what would I wish that I would have changed? Now, there are things that I know I wish I would have changed, but I also look back at what I'm leaving behind and I don't feel as guilty about it. As of yet, I have lived a life that I can say I'm proud of. I've lived a life to where I think I can confidently say that I've left a good impression on those people that I love. And I can confidently say that I will have good lessons in store for those who come after. And, too young to be writing a will, but every now and then it pops up into my head. I'm like, obviously I don't have a whole lot to my name, so it's not like anyone would be fighting over my possessions. At least I hope not. They can argue over the last packet of ramen in my pantry if they want, but that's up to them. They can figure that out. Like I said, there's things that I want to do yet. I've always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to learn another language, and I've been trying to convince myself just to crack down on those things. And that ties into what I was saying when I feel like I'm being lazy or not as productive as I could be when I sit down to play some video games after a long, hard day. And I wish I could just accept myself in that manner to where that's what I think I need right in that moment. And they always say the best time to start is today. Like, when people set resolutions, they always talk about, oh, maybe next week or maybe next year. Maybe next year I'll start doing that. And 100%, that doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. Firsthand experience. And honestly, if you're not going to start now, don't even pretend like you're going to get to something. Now, if you're not going to start in that second, given you have time, given that it's an open moment and you're willing to do it, don't even bother saying that, because I'll be playing video games and I'll like, man, maybe I should work on guitar a little. Maybe I should start playing guitar. And I was like, oh, I'll practice guitar tomorrow. And then I'll go on to say that for the next 3 weeks. If you're not going to do it right then and there, you might as well just shut the hell up. Like, there's no point in trying to convince yourself that it's going to be different next week. It's got to be different now. You got to make the change right then and there. Some people are really good about sticking to plans and, pursuing new hobbies, and I feel like that's a smaller percentage of most people. When it comes to the average person, they're in this situation of what I just described, and I am also in that category. So I'm not trying to shade on anyone or anything, because I'm talking shit to myself too. But that's just the thing about all of this. I gotta give myself some space. I gotta give myself a little room to just be easier on myself, and that's pretty hard for a lot of people, and including myself. I'm very hard on myself, and I rarely do anything about it. I'm not particularly good at anything, and I know and accept that fact, but I also know that it's kind of what you're going to do with all of it. You have to make the conscious decision to get better at something. It'll never change if you don't. And I know that, and I accept that. That's what kind of drives me into a state to where I'm like, okay, I've got no reason to talk shit about myself, because I know I have it in me to actually try. I know there is going to be a day where I drop everything and do it, and I accept that fact. And I was just talking shit about people, like that, including myself. Once again, including myself. I was just complaining about that. If you're not going to start now, or if you're not going to start now, don't even bother talking about it. But I just have belief in myself that one day I will stop lying to myself. I guess that's a better way to put it. And until that day comes, we're just gonna hang out, and a big thing you gotta do as well is kind of just accept yourself and accept the fact that you're not perfect by any means. You're gonna fuck up time and time again, and sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. Well, 90% of the time it gets worse before it gets better. And you're also going to feel discouraged. Something that I've been looking at a lot recently is instant gratification. And I've always been a person to where, like, when we were young, people were like, oh, that internet's going to rot your brain. It's going to make you stupid. And I'm like, bullshit. No, that's not true. They were right. They were actually right. I ended up deleting TikTok because after looking at my statistics, I think I spent about 3 to 4 hours a day straight just on TikTok. And I was like, I'm addicted to short content. I'm addicted to instant gratification. And I refuse to make anything. I refuse to sit down and watch a movie without checking my phone 57 times. And I hate that, because I used to love movies. I used to just sit down and just watch movies all day. And I loved every second of it. I used to take in every single little ounce of story that I could manage. And now I can barely pay attention anymore because I just get so bored of it. And it's just a horrible thing. I can't sit down and read a book anymore. I can't sit down. I used to love writing. I used to write stories all the time. Whether or not they were good, that's up to someone's opinion. But I used to do things that took time. I used to do things that helped me feel rewarded, not instantly, but within a few weeks or a few days or months or years. Nowadays, if it's not within 10 seconds, it's like I just give up. And I hate that. I really do hate that. And I've been really working towards being better about that. This video didn't really stick to the topic that I wanted it to, and it's unlikely that it'll get uploaded. So if you're seeing this, I guess I decided to try something new. I guess I decided to just share a piece of my mind for a second and put a little bit of my thoughts out on the internet. Not that anyone watches or cares. I've actually lost a record amount of subs somehow in the last few months. I've lost a lot of subscribers. I think it was 80 or something like that. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents for the day. I would have liked this to be a little bit more consistent, and it's scriptless, so the thing is like it comes from a genuine place of thought and a genuine place of heart for me. When I write a script, I feel like I'm trying to manufacture words that people will want to listen to instead of just saying what I actually mean. And I don't like content like that. I really don't like doing that. But anyways, I guess that's my 2 cents for the day. And if it does get uploaded, my first post in 8 months. So thank you guys for tuning in if you did. I do like making content like this, but I find it difficult to express what I really mean sometimes. So peace.